All right, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being here today. This is our weekly cybersecurity briefing. We try to keep it short and to the point. This is specifically focused around hacking and targeted towards accounting and wealth management firms, wherever you're located at. And I just want to say thanks again for being here. It shows a lot that you care. Dennis, we know you care. We're thankful that you're here today to learn about cybersecurity. Cyber threats obviously are a growing problem. It continues to be something that's in the news every single day. So if throughout this, if you have questions or you want to connect later, we'll have an opportunity to do that. But if you have any questions post this, you can email us at hello@rethinksecure.com or reach out to us. You can call us directly at our phone number, and I'll give you more details about that later. Like I said, this briefing is about 15 to 20 minutes. We try to keep it to the point, get what you need to know, and then get you on back to work. So this is weekly, every Thursday at 1:30 Central Standard Time. So the agenda today, obviously introduction, current cybersecurity landscape, recent cyber attacks and breaches. If we have any information we can bring to you on that, anything that's changed in the FTC safeguards in regard to compliance, and closing remarks. So let's get right into this. So who are we? I'm Garrett. I'm the CEO here at Vandernet. We shifted during COVID from being just a normal IT provider to being a cybersecurity focused IT solutions provider. When we realized that the corporate firewalls were not going to be able to be the resolution or the fix to cybersecurity problems, we transitioned. So we realized when people left the corporate network and they went home and they were working from home with their husband and their wife and children, we realized that all of this data that was on the computers inside the corporate environment now existed in everybody's homes. And hackers realized that too, and they picked on it. And if you look at it historically, in regard to number of compromises and breaches, just have gone like cyber attack has just gone way up through the last several years with people working remote. And so corporate IT companies and corporate IT departments have had to think, how do we secure beyond the office building? And so that's when we refocused in 2020 and we became a cybersecurity focused IT solutions company. We're focused on US Central. We focus on accounting and wealth management firms, and we secure them 24/7, night and day. Holidays, we're constantly watching the attempts that hackers are making against our clients and reacting if necessary, but putting a lot of proactive attention in place first. So, current cybersecurity landscape. Why are financial services the number 2 target when it comes to cybersecurity attacks? And we're going to tell you 3 reasons why today. 1, payout. We find that when hackers target accounting and wealth management firms, they know that the reward is going to be bigger. And so that is why they are the number 1. Payout is a number 1 reason why they target those firms. The second thing is an expansion to cloud. So when we expand to the cloud, we are now taking things that would, like I mentioned earlier, that would be behind a corporate firewall. And now we're putting a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit there and a little bit there and a little bit there, but it's not behind a corporate firewall anymore. It's with the software as a service, these SaaS companies in the cloud, and that we're doing business with and transacting with. So we have to be very mindful of the personal identifiable information and making sure that all the security tools that can be enabled on those cloud providers are enabled. Because number 2 reason is expansion of the cloud, which means it's easier to exploit and get into financial services industry easier than ever before, because it's all out there. And it's now I know that I can go and target this specific software as a service provider. And because I targeted that specific software as a service provider, I know if I get into their environment, I immediately have access to all of these accounting service firms, all these accounting firms, and all the PII, personal identifiable information, that those accounting firms would have access to. So we have to make sure that we are planning and we're thinking about those things before we put our data in the cloud, and making sure that all those security tools, like I said, are turned on. Third, it's hard to secure assets. You guys are traditionally really, really good at what you do, whether that being accounting or that being helping people think of plan where they want to go and how they financially get the correct vehicle to get the outcome that they're looking for. But we all know this. We need industry experts that can help us secure the things that need to be secured. And a lot of this is due to compliance. Compliance is moving into requirements to making that we're sure that we're locking down the cell phones, the iPads, the computers. Oh, and then number two, like I had mentioned, that we're locking down those software as a service applications. But hackers know it's extremely hard to secure assets. And so they'll send you a text message to your phone and with a link, and you might click on it. One of the things that we're seeing big time in today's age is people just giving their phones to their kids to watch YouTube or other applications that would stream content to them, or games on their phones. And we're seeing hackers specifically send text messages to these phones, and these kids, they want to just watch whatever they're consuming. And so they'll click on anything or they'll try to get it off the screen. And the next thing you know, hackers have compromised your mobile device. Now they have access to your emails, which then can lead to a lot of other things that they would access to, specifically cloud applications like OneDrive or SharePoint. So it's extremely important that we're vigilant in making sure that only the people that should have access to that content and information are the only ones that have access to it. So you need to get your kids their own devices for them to consume the content on. They should not be using our work devices. So a recent cyber attacks or breaches, we have a specific scenario today that we're going to talk about. And it's relatively new, just happened this week. I found it in one of our groups for cybersecurity. Really, he had a client, another MSSP owner out of New York. And he had said a client was sent a 6-figure check in the mail. The check was intercepted somewhere in the post office or post delivery. Never made it to their mailbox. Scammers opened up a bank account with the exact company name that the check was written out to. The sender of the check had positive pay set up, but almost let it go through because everything matched up except they noticed that the signature looked different. He called to verify that they received the check, and that's when they discovered the scam. Scammers opened up an online bank account in that company's name with that check name to be able to deposit it. And this is really, really timely because it is a physical check that's being sent, but this happens all day, every day with just an accounting bank account number and a routing number. And so in this particular case, the person that sent the check had positive pay. And if you don't know what positive pay is, I would highly encourage you to go to your bank today and get this set up, because this is a bank control that flags everything as it's trying to come out of your account and allows you to review it to approve or deny that. And this is a huge way to protect your business from a fraudulent transaction from happening on your business bank account. And if you don't have positive pay in order today, please get that in order. We have local partnerships like the Bank of Missouri that would love to talk to you. A gentleman named Taylor Clark at the Bank of Missouri would love to connect with you and get positive pay set up on your secured banking accounts, so that way this doesn't happen to you. You would think that the banks would be on top of this from fraud, and they try to do the best that they can, but that's why they have the controls in place to help you quickly identify potential fraud on your account. And what Positive Pay does is they didn't have to authorize that $100,000 check or that six-figure check from clearing the bank account. They were able to say, nope, deny, and it would deny that check from coming out of their account. So the problem with this scenario today, specifically when it comes to hackers, is you would say, well, how did they open up a business bank account with that specific company's name? And when you are a hacker, you have access to a lot of people's personal identifiable information, which means you can spin up bank accounts with people's information and driver's licenses and anything like that anytime you want to, because you have access to that type of information to do so. So you can create fraudulent companies. You can register DBAs as companies' names. So we have to do everything we can in our power as business owners to protect our business, because that's protecting our business, but really it's protecting our future. So out of this, it's important to know, A, verify that who you're sending the checks to are actually getting those checks. And then secondly, put the necessary bank controls in place to help protect money from just leaving your bank account today. Next, I have this slide from last week. I just want to go over it again. It says every time you open software on your computer, that software can access everything you can. Before you download, before you install stuff, do yourself a favor and think, if this is a fraudulent piece of software, or could this software be used for fraudulent behavior? Do I really need to install this piece of software on my computer? This software is free. I need to ask myself, why is this software free? And if this software can access everything on my computer, am I okay with that? So ask yourself that hard question. And last but not least, our cybersecurity best practice tip for the week is you need to have a vendor list. And why is this important? So you need to make a list of all the provider names, the description of the services that they provide your business, and your key contact. Who is your account rep at that company? That first and last name needs to be on this list with a specific phone number for that entity. Hackers love to pose themselves as other people. That is what we call social engineering. When they pose themselves as your IT provider that's providing the specific service to you. Maybe they're not even your IT provider's name, but they convince you that they're your IT provider. So it's important that your people have access to the list, the people that are answering the phones, the people that are responsible for responding to those types of emails. And when somebody calls you and says they're your IT provider or they're your insurance agent, you politely say, thank you so much. Sounds like we're going to be talking about some sensitive information. Let me call you back. You hang up, and then you go to your service provider, your vendor list, find the phone number, pick up the phone, dial that specific phone number, and then get back in touch with that person. Hackers don't have a way to spoof an outbound call from you to them. They do have a way of spoofing caller ID coming into you. So if they're calling you and the caller ID looks right and the phone number looks right, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's right, because it's extremely easy to change the outbound phone number. For us to change our caller ID or our phone number that we're calling you with, that's easy. But when you're calling back the number that you have, that's where it has to go to where it's intended to go. So it's extremely important you're doing that today. So this is concluding our cybersecurity briefing for this week, and we look forward to connecting with you and seeing you next week, Thursday at 1:30 Central Standard Time. And we'll go over new content And if anything has happened in regard to public breaches or compromises in the industry, we will try to do our best to bring that to you, talk about that and what kinds of systems or how can you be better protected. If you have any questions, feel free to scan the QR code on your screen right now to set up a free cybersecurity strategy session. It's a free 15-minute conversation where we just get to know about you and you get to know about us and we get to talk cybersecurity, which we love to do. Thank you so much for being here, and we look forward to seeing you next week.